Evening, folks. 2010 F-150. I'm going to swap out the steering wheel today. This should be the same for 2009 to 2014. As you can see, my steering wheel cover here is a little bit ratty, mainly because it's a bigger wheel. They don't really make covers that fit these. And it's a high mileage truck. I've got 219,000 on it currently. And the finish started coming off the wheel. I'll show you that here in a little bit. That started coming off a while back, and now it's tattered. I decided to pull the trigger on a new one. First things first, I've got the battery negative cable is off. Because when you're messing with the airbag, you don't want that going off in your face. You're not going to find really anything obvious to get the airbag out. On the back side of the wheel, on either side, there's a little hole here, so you need to find something to stick into there. And as you're pushing gently, you'll pry away at the airbag to get it to pop off of there. And again, there's one on the other side as well. So you just start on one side, pop that loose a little bit, get the other side loose, pop that off, and then we'll get into the guts of it when we get that far. I'll tell you that I really don't like, it makes me uneasy to deal with airbags. I probably should have my seat back a little farther, however it's a power seat. So if I eat it, we're going to catch this on camera, but the power's off as long as you're gentle with it. Treat it with respect, don't be throwing it around. Chances are you'll be alright. It's got a little smaller Phillips here to get into that hole, and that's not deep enough. Bear with me. Alright, take two. I swap that out for an Allen wrench. Anything you got really is going to work. You just need to get it to go deep enough till you feel the resistance. This is my first go around, so I'm not just going to be able to pop it off there in 2 seconds. I think I got it. Somewhat. Feels like there's one on the bottom as well. I think there is. Yep. Or not. by looking at the new one, I was able to figure out that there is definitely one down here on the bottom as well. Alright, so I have to apologize. I got the top out first. I still haven't gotten this all the way out. However, I couldn't feel any resistance when you poke your poker in there. You'll feel like a spring lever as you're pulling it away. So when I had the top out and then I went to the bottom, it felt like there was no spring at all. So I pushed the airbag back in. So now it's re-engaged. I'm going to try going from the bottom first. Now that I can feel that spring lever in there, and try it that way. And I honestly don't know if this is the case. It doesn't feel like it wants to let go there either. Maybe I already had that loose. As I went to the other side and I started pulling from the top, this bottom end went back in there. Okay, so that feels loose. Need one extra hand, I'm afraid. There, I got it. I had to push a little harder than I was before. Do apologize for that, but again, working on these airbags does make me a little nervous. And maybe that's unfounded. You've got, let's see if I can move you a little bit. When you get in here, there's three hookups. There's these two yellow ones, and then it appears to be a, I'm guessing power. They all might be power. I don't know airbags. I'm not a mechanic. Looks like this one's got a release for it, and then these, from the way I understand it, they need to be just pried out of there essentially. So I'm going to need to go get a small flathead for that. Sorry for the interruption, folks. When the wife calls, you better answer. On this particular steering or airbag, there's tabs you have to squeeze. Much like you, I found a video on YouTube about how to go about all this. And apparently the plugs on that particular airbag were different. So you can see, get you in a little bit tighter. That's as good as I'm going to get. So, right, see if I can get it turned towards you the right way. You'll see on the back of this plug, both here and here, there's two tabs. It's a little easier to see on the gray one than the black one. I noticed those tabs as I was just lightly prying, and I thought, oh, this is pretty stupid. I don't want to screw anything up. So I broke out my long needle nose and squeeze those two tabs, and the plug comes right out. Now for this other one, not 100% sure yet how that comes out of there. Bear with me, we're going to find out here in just a sec. Alright, that's got a little push tab, and then that just pops off of there. On that video, the guy after he took the airbag off, he stated, I'm going to set it on the workbench just like this. And that makes sense. Because when these go off, obviously the bag's going to come out of this. So, in theory, if you were to put it face down with the steering wheel emblem on its face, and it went off, well, it's going to probably blow that through your ceiling. So, just something to bear in mind. This, I'm just going to set this gently on the passenger seat and let that be what it is. All right, take a little break there, get some tools that I needed. Well, a tool anyway. This bolt in here, on the video that I watched is GMC. It was just an ordinary hex bolt. This happens to be a Torx bolt. It's a T50, and in lieu of the fact that I really don't care to drag out my airline and my pneumatic impact and all that, I went this route. I did get it to pop loose. It wasn't crazily easy, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, the torque's around 40 pounds. The problem is the whole wheel wants to spin. So to break it loose, I just put my knees under it and then started turning. Now, like I say, I've already popped it loose. However, I'm sure there's some Loctite on there from the factory. Yeah, I know I could use a longer ratchet handle, but we're going to try a little something else. This impact would not break it loose, but now that it is loose, maybe I can just run it out. Or not. Yeah, it's a Ryobi little homeowner special there. I can now see why they don't have to press them on anymore. Alright, oh yeah, put a little Loctite on there. So, I mean, literally the wheel is pretty much free at this point. These wires stay with the column. There is one more plug from the steering wheel that I need to get out of there. There's just a little tab underneath. I should have done this before I took the wheel loose, but we got lucky there. That popped right out. All right, it's actually looks like on this particular setup, it's just the airbag wire that stays. So we'll ease that off of there. And that wheel is off. Next order of business is this clock spring. I was just educated today on this, that you do not want this to turn. Basically, when you walk away, you want it to stay. When you walk away, you don't want to have it fall one way or the other with this facing down, because if this did this when I wasn't looking, now it's down here, which way did it fall? So keep that in mind, because if this falls down here, and let's say it comes this way and it's down here 180, I put it back up here to 0 in the same direction, that's great. If it's down here 180 and I go the wrong direction and take it 360, basically you'll pull the wires out of that clock spring, which gives you control of everything on your steering wheel, as well as the airbag, the horn. It's bad juju. So just whatever you can tape it, you can just make sure that you don't mess up and it turns on you. It turns kind of freely, but not so freely that it may fall. So we're just going to leave this as it is. I'm going to go get the other wheel and we're going to slap the new one on. Alright, we got the new wheel. Alright, so I got the new wheel. Really all I need to worry about is feeding these airbag wires back through. And this is where not turning that clock spring gets a little tricky, because you're manipulating the whole thing. Alright, once that's lined up, I just realized you don't have any light. I apologize for my trailer park lighting here. That plugged in. Be careful when you're plugging that back in. The tines that plug in are super tiny. Hopefully we'll have a little better luck with my baby impact here, getting it turned back in. And it did. A lot more luck. I'm not exactly sure of the actual torque spec on this. So let's set my torque wrench at 45 pounds. I'm thinking that should suffice. This is where things get a little tricky. Let's use the old thigh trick again. All right, got that done. So remember there's 3 hookups. There's the 2 that go here, and then there's the one power, I think it is, that goes on the bottom. Again, I don't recommend, don't take my word for it. If you don't want to mess with an airbag, don't. You're better off not doing something if you're afraid of it than hurting yourself in the end. And these 2 that we were talking about earlier for the airbag plugs, there's one black one gray one. They are color coded on the back of the airbag so that you don't mix them up. I'm assuming there is a reason for them being color coded. Line it back up. Push. That's it. So, looks a little better than it did. I'm going to show you that old wheel too, and show you why I changed it. Alright, I said I was going to show you the condition of this wheel. The original, mind you, 10-year-old truck, well, 12 by model year, 219,000 miles. Part of this wheel was like this when I bought it. I bought it with 147,000 on it, and that's what happens. It's basically just, it's hand sweat, really, that does that. It makes the wheel feel, it's not pleasant, quite honestly. You'll notice on this wheel, one thing I forgot to mention is that I do have the cruise and the sync. You may have one or the other, or none, but you'll still at least have the wires to your airbag, and then what I'm guessing is the power coming to the airbag, or I'm not really sure what that is again. However, this isn't a bad job. If you've got the time to do it, a little bit of know-how, it's not that difficult. All told, for the wheel itself, was $306 after tax. I got it online, place out of Florida. They got it to me in about 8 days because they had to wait on it, and then it got shipped to me, which is pretty good considering a lot of these parts you can't get right now due to the, well, I digress. But well, there's even a split right there. So yeah, biggest thing, disconnect the battery and leave it sit for a little while before you start doing anything with that airbag. Be gentle with the airbag. When you set it down, set it emblem up. Basically what you see on the steering wheel, make sure that's facing up, set it away from you. Just be careful, don't jostle it around. You don't want to eat that thing. They are powerful. So, but yeah, I definitely recommend doing it. It makes the interior of the truck look way better. And yeah, I think that's really all I got to say about that. Just be careful, take your time. Don't rush through it. It's actually very simple. All right, thanks for watching.